Hey everybody, how you doing? Okay, so I had to weigh on this because reportedly Mayor Thao's back from her trade mission in Vietnam and wants to continue her game of politics and nastiness with the A's, thinking that it really means a great deal to the Athletics to be able to play in the Coliseum for longer than one more year. When in point of fact, for much of this time, the talk has been, hey, the A's are going to want to play either at the Aviators' home there in Summerlin, or perhaps in Reno, but not necessarily extend out the Coliseum for an extra year. And there's a reason for that. But see, Shane, this is what Shane does. Shane doesn't think things through. My last video was focused on the fact that she literally faked having a project manager active and a staff and took a skeleton crew to Seattle to meet with the commissioner of baseball. Didn't take people who were in the room who could do the deal, but took quite literally eye candy and didn't even concern herself with presenting the credibility, certainty, and capacity to actually convince baseball to come back and say, hey, why don't you give a presentation to the owners in 2 weeks? Now, when you say, it reminds me of a line in Crimson Kinds, you don't use a blank if you're not going to blank, right? Very similar to this, okay? Shang went in with her, think about this, with her chief of staff and her communications representative and her Howard Turner project manager, who really wasn't on her standard contract, as it was told to me by a person who should know, and then reminded me that he said that or wrote that in text, but said it didn't mean what he thought it meant. And the bottom line is, as I told him, hey, look, I've done videos on her ouster or possible leaving multiple times this year. So I was waiting for quite literally for the brick to hit the ground. And that's exactly what happened. First, reportedly last week, but then according to what you're telling me, it happened months before. So guess what? She was really gone. And so basically, Shang is playing games with the commissioner, first by sending in eye candy, not taking him seriously, sending in a term sheet that's basically converted into a book and offering nothing new in return. Nothing. Suppose the commissioner had said, why don't you give a presentation to the entire Major League Baseball ownership in 2 weeks and show us, for example, your bond issue numbers? They wouldn't have been prepared to do so because they have never done them, okay, at all. And what Century Urban did was a complete error, which is why they would have to then explain, and some ownership member in the room would ask, how come you're saying that there's going to be $7 billion worth of construction here, and yet you're only allowing the Athletics to realize $362 million in tax increment financing? I mean, they're not stupid, okay? But that's the kind of situation Shang sets the city up in herself because she thinks in terms of reacting. She is the titular example of the kind of behavior that Eric Grubman of the NFL complained that Oakland was exhibiting under Oakland Merely behalf in trying to retain the Raiders, reacting to a problem rather than having a plan. Here we go again. We don't have a plan. We don't think through what we've done. There's no introspection. There's no strategizing with a task force because there's no task force. Okay? I can go on and on and on. Shang's doing a great job by showing everybody what I mean just by doing what she's doing. That's it. And expecting results, which will never, ever happen. But what's worse is you out there, particularly you in the media, who basically, in a chase for eyeballs and money, use her and use A's fans as this kind of mob machine that you're trying to gin up to get views by saying, oh, that's great. And yeah, go get them and everything else. I mean, you've got to be stuck on stupid to put the city in this position or try to again and again and again. And so that's why I gave up on the 25th of November of 2021 in terms of the idea that the A's were going to stay in Oakland, because the city hadn't done what was needed in a timely fashion. Tick tock, you're on somebody else's clock. Oakland has never gotten that message all the way back to the time when I was intern, especially when I was working on the Super Bowl, when Clint Bolden wanted me to wait for him 2 weeks when the NFL needed the revised version of the bid book that I was submitting in 2 days. Okay? This is Oakland's constant problem. It's in its DNA, it's in its culture. And the best way for Oakland to get over it is to completely change how it does what it does, which means it has to go after a sports organization, which means it has to sell itself, which means it has to have a process and a team well financed to move forward. That's what Oakland needs to do. And it needs to be of heavy hitting professionals and corporate representatives and not elected officials. Elected officials should be placed in the role that they best suited as overseers. But in Oakland, overseers have become the implementers, would be. But the trouble is they don't know what they're doing. Expect to squeeze an orange that is dry and think that something is going to come out of it. But that is literally what the mayor and Oaklanders who are A's fans are doing. Again and again and again. It's not happening. Let the A's go. Go after another team. The Brewers, the Rays. Manufacture a reason for another team to move to Oakland. Do something that we've never done before. Sell Oakland. But this idea that the Athletics are going to stick around or there's some magic scenario out there is silly. And I don't mean to be insulting those people who are advancing it, but I'm saying that you're playing with your own mental health if you keep advancing that. I know where that comes from. It happened during the Raiders. But I said, and this is what changed me, the realization that we were not in Oakland going to debrief, that there was no one that cared to say, hey, what did we do wrong? The mayor didn't do it. And the mayor's supposed to be the leader that does it. No one else did it. And yet, during that time, remember, Nate Miley over at the County of Alameda took on the 12th of May of 2015 time to make Oakland look bad, okay? To make Oakland look bad. That's what was done, all right? To basically say, I'm out of here. I want this written so that the Coliseum, this is what Nate did, so the Coliseum is not involved in sports. When we were in the middle of the negotiation with the NFL, he didn't care how it looked. He was trying to wreck it and us. And Nate, that was wrong then, and it's wrong now. Okay? There's no other way to put that. But we're completely different than, say, Nashville and Davidson County, which act as one. And so have this beautiful $2.1 billion stadium that they're poised to build, and they have the financing put together already, and they have no problem presenting their general funds as a backstop to those payments. They did it without controversy. Hey, we don't do it because we don't want the noise. We act out of fear. Oakland's actions are consistently based on fear and anger, not strategy. Fear and anger. You cannot expect success in that way. Excuse me one moment. I just need to plug this in before battery runs out. But here I just did. Boom. And there we go. Yeah. So let me now get to your comments by Hopris. Hopris writes, he says, either it makes financial sense to extend the Coliseum lease or it doesn't. The current rent is $1.5 million. Come up with a number that makes sense If you get the number, then extend the lease. He says, don't worry, somehow the Major League Baseball will find a place somewhere for the A's to play in 3 years. I'm not worried about that. Or he says, even if the mythical summit came to an agreement with Thao and the A's, then it wasn't clear that the Oakland City Council would approve. He says, a plan. We don't need no stinking plan. Parody of badges. We don't need no stinking badges. Treasure Sierra Madre. Humphrey Bogart. I gotta watch that film. Hopefully the MLB will give the approval to the A's move to Vegas as quickly as possible. Eric Stern says, Zinni, these people just don't want sports in Oakland. It's plain and simple. Eric, that's the point is, I'm glad you said that. It's not that they don't want sports in Oakland. The problem is that they don't know what they've got in Oakland to know that they want it. Let me be blunt. It's not about sports in reality. Why are all of these other municipalities making plans to have beautiful new facilities? It's because they understand the power of exposure, positive exposure on television. They understand how that translates into tourist dollars. They understand what it does for civic pride. They understand what it does for kids and their mental health. They get what it means to have something to offset that which every city has. But in the Oakland parlance, everyone seems to act like only Oakland has to deal with, which is crime. Crime is not new. Crime in cities is going to be with us for the dawn of time. But you don't say, I'm not going to make my city enjoyable to be in because I have crime. And yet, Oakland is allowed to say that by its actions. And a lot of you say, well, Oakland just simply can't afford to do this and they've got more important problems. That's not the way to think about a city. But a number of you don't understand what it means to build a city, even as you're living in it. And I'm being harsh, okay? Harsh. And I'm being harsh because my attitude reflects the condition that Oakland is in. The reason why I started changing and becoming more critical of elected officials in Oakland is reflective of the fact that Oakland is at a state that it should not be in. That's why. You don't take these jobs so that you're anointed king and queen. All right. That's not the idea. A lot of you look at what Shang does because she's put in the media and I'm talking about her and she knows that dynamic. All right. But that's all she cares about. She doesn't care about the city. She cares about how you respond to her. That at the end of the day, she can say, I did something. The question is, did it work? No. And again, that kind of approach doesn't work like Shang thinks it does. Take a look at this headline by White Cleat Beat. It reads, is Oakland's mayor delusional with her demands to the A's franchise? And the answer is just plain fat bottom yes. Absolutely. It's what we get with a strong mayor form of government. It's wrecking us, and it's wrecking us yet again because we have people whose egos have been so fed by this. You know, it's just like they're just go, eat, that they can't get over the drug. And they love to have people say, oh, you know, Zinni's talking about you and everything, and then react, and Libby used to do this. I would say, Libby, don't put your face out there talking about Howard Terminal because you wear the political damage from it. The political strategy of traditional sense has been you put your czar out there who is the expert on stadium financing, expert on the project. You get your czar to talk and make the presentations and do the work and appear before the media and do the negotiations. You do all of that, okay? You do all of that. And then what you get is that you wind up getting a place where you are in the background as the elected official and you are letting that person take the flack. Okay? That's how these things are done. You let the czar take the flack, take the blame. Okay? That's what you do. That's what you do. That's what you do. But see, Libby didn't get that message. The last Oakland mayor we had who actually got that message was Jean Quan. She had Fred Blackwell. She was happy to put Fred out there. Unfortunately, Fred left because Fred knew, this is the fault of strong mayor, that his boss, Jean Quan, was not going to be reelected. So he jumped ship for the San Francisco Foundation, where he is still as CEO. Let me get more of your comments here. And maybe Oakland residents aren't really interested in having sports anymore. I don't know. I didn't see A's fans going down to City Hall demanding action. They didn't. You're absolutely right. But how can you expect anybody to demand action in an environment where they are quite literally struggling to pay the rent? The untold story, the unrealized story is the difficulty of maintaining a place when it is hard to get gainful employment that allows you to keep housing costs where it should be, which is 1/3 of your income. That's the problem in Oakland. And it's rapidly becoming the problem in the United States, and we're not doing anything about it. You know, it used to be said, as California goes, so goes the nation. Well, actually, that's still true. As California goes, so goes the nation. And as Oakland goes, so goes the nation. Oakland is used to be, before the internet, 20 years ahead. Now I would say we're maybe like 6 years. All right. The horizon is shortened. Okay. These housing cost problems are becoming a disease that is spread all over the United States. But I digress. Let me continue to get, says, what I mean, Zenny, is doing neither the members of city council and mayor are sports fans anyway. It's not a matter of being a sports fan. So you're stuck on that. Eric, what I need you to understand is Oakland doesn't have a large scale convention center, of which Howard Terminal or any kind of ballpark could be that. It could be a multi use facility from that perspective. You put a dome over it, and next thing you know, you've got 49 different large events through the year, ideally. And those events are everything from, a gigantic wedding of 10,000, attracting 10,000 people, to a Taylor Swift concert, to a hip hop 50 years concert, to a car show, to a fashion show. You name it, even locally, if you can produce it, it could be in there. Okay. That's what we give up. But when you think about sports, that's what we give up. You need to think in terms of the building and what the building can do for the community, not sports. Sports is, what you want ideally for it to be used for, because sports bringing in a major league team, attracting attention, which helps us with tourism, which should catalyzing the construction of new hotels. All of that should be part of the plan, okay? But you don't stop at that intellectual water's edge and think it's just sports. That's anti-intellectual. That's Jerry Brown. That's Jerry Brown saying, I'm not interested in sports. It has nothing to do with sports. It has everything to do with building buildings that capture the activities that occur within the the meetings, incentives, conventions, and entertainment industry. The MICE industry is what it's called. Oakland fails at that at a time when city, Las Vegas, after city, Chicago, after city, San Diego, after city, San Francisco next door, and go on and go on and on and on. Sacramento gets it. When are we going to learn? And we're going to stop this childish behavior. And when are you all going to stop subsidizing it? Please, I beg of you, knock it off. It's not working. It's not helping. And it's only going to get worse. You're egging her on. Stop egging her on. And stop egging on these elected officials. We have no business taking front and center of projects they don't even have any training in how to deal with. This is absurd. It's silly season. It's ridiculous. Knock it off. It's ruined us. Just look down the street. Look at all the people that impacted here that negatively. It's awful what's happening in Oakland. Absolutely terrible. And yet Shane's going to go on a trade mission to Vietnam. Does that bring back immediate bucks for businesses around the city? Nope. No. That's it. Okay. But she went there anyway. And it's not the first time she's been in Vietnam. What is this with Shang going to Vietnam so many times? All right. Knowing her, she's doing something behind our backs we're not even aware of. You need to watch her. Okay. I have earned enough tenure in Oakland to talk this way. I've been in Oakland since April 8th, 1974. Enough of this. And I've been out there as a public figure for quite a while. So I've earned my stripes. I'm not concerned with how someone feels about it. It's fact. Let me get more of your comments here. It says, I became the mayor of Oakland to get out of Oakland and become governor of California. It's going to get a lot worse. You will either inherit a house and rent for your entire life. Yep. Will Oakland Stadium be demolished or kept for a concert like LA Forum? See, I believe it's not a matter of what they want. I think that we need simply to build the Coliseum up. We need to build on spec. We need to build the Coliseum, and we need to build Coliseum City and then go about marketing it to the proper tenants. We've never done that before, but that's what we need to do. Okay. Because in doing that, we will get our ducks in a row. We will become culturally the can-do city we need to be to solve our problems. We are not there. Jay says the A's more than likely to play at the Aviator Ballpark. They play at the Coliseum in 2024. Right. Of course. I don't know why the mayor hasn't reached out to any Bay Area business leaders to help her with it. That's a great point, Eric. She's on her own. You notice that? She's Don Quixote with the windmill, It's always about her. Her. It's not the common political style of having the press conference with the 5 mayors and everything, right? No, it's Shang. Shang is Wonder Woman. Shang can do it by herself. Shang needs help, but Shang will not call on. She won't call me, because she's upset. Because she plays petty politics at a level that no Oakland official ever has. All right. It says the way Oakland fans attacked the Vegas legislature was nasty. No, it was awful. Nevada. Yeah, it was awful. It was bad. But hey, it's done. They were late to the party, and they get mad at me for saying that, but they were. Get another team in here. The best revenge, I'm telling you, the best revenge is to say, oh, I don't need you. I want the Rays or the Brewers. I want another team that wants to be here. I want to bring the Chargers up here from LA. I want to take a team from a city the way teams have been taken from us. That's how you get revenge. That's what you do. You have to become in love with the idea of teams being in Oakland, not be in love with the team separate from Oakland and then saying, why are you leaving? Okay? That's the difference. Think of it as an evidence and say, okay, who can we get in here? Like Macy's or Nordstrom, because that's how the sports is changing is landscape. You have to play along with it. So you have to say, hey, who can we get to fill in our facility? Or can we make them ourselves? You have to be cold about it because they're being cold to you. I'm letting you all know because it's going to save your psyche. The city should act accordingly. Okay? The city should act accordingly. What's your best guess where A's end up playing temporarily? Hey, John, how you doing? My best guess is with the Aviators. So I don't know what he was talking. Anyway, 504. Oh, what he was talking about, last granted, he was talking about the way, and it was a really almost psychotic level of vitriol. But I understand where it's coming from, that they attacked the presenters during the Nevada legislature sessions. I get that. How you doing, last granted? Thank you for that. He says, do you think she'll be reelected? No. 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 Shang is flirting with recall as it is. The civic morale is in the tank. Civic morale is in the tank. Even among her proponents, they shake their heads at what she does. She is not a good mayor because she cannot resist this "you hurt me, I'm going to get you" approach. It screams out. You don't run cities like that. But that's what she's doing. This will be, Thao will have a task force, being a bunch of Thao clones getting nothing done. She won't have a task force. She doesn't understand how to put together the right kind of task force. I do. Okay. So that's it. Anyway. I'll be back. Been on here now for 26 minutes. Wait a minute. Hope this, yeah, got that one. Oh, last granted says real proactive leadership is needed in Oakland. Yeah, and we're at a point where we need it so badly. We're quite literally suffering from not having it. Bad stuff. Live long and prosper. I'll be back in about a second to talk about Bob Barker before I call it a night. I'll see ya.